Hello again. Being involved in the occult, I'm not just simply satisfied with, reinventing the wheel or not testing myself. I'm constantly testing myself. Laboratory type scenarios to test the idea of magic and how it's working. And if you're interested in the occult and sorcery and magic and so on, and you want to actually practice it, you've got to actually do this. You see, magic is not about, the fairy godmother and make your wish come true. You've got to, it's like being a warrior, a soldier, and sometimes you have to do bad things or dark things. And that's okay only if it's justified. So I have never cursed anyone directly, ever. I don't think so. I think, like I said, when I was a kid, I did, from David Conway's book, and then I instantly regretted it, and I was probably 11 or 12, and I still haven't done it since. And it's a dark road to go down, but that's not to say I don't deflect negative energy put towards me, and I do that all the time. And again, basically, the result of deflecting a curse or a spell upon the one who gave it to you is they become mentally insane. They become unhinged, and they sink to levels that nobody around them, in terms of their phobias and stuff, they don't want to be with them. They go, no, it's gone a bit too far. This person is a bit, it's gone beyond anger and vendetta. This person is profoundly sick. And that's how you really get them back, because what you do is you turbocharge their madness, and so they expose it to everyone else, and the next thing they know that they're isolated, and it's the hermit card in reverse. And they've only got other dregs for company, and even them dregs turn on them eventually as well. And that's how that's the safest way of doing it. Now, a few years ago, I was involved in a situation where I had to defend a loved one of mine, and it involved bullying at a workplace, and the bullying took place at a restaurant where she was working, and it caused tremendous hardship for this friend of mine and her husband. Her husband at the time was unemployed, and she badly depended on this job to pay her bills and pay their bills and look after the kids and stuff. And at the same time, the woman that she was working for at this cafe was an absolute female psychopath who was torturing her, bullying her, getting the other female staff to make fun of her, and so on. She asked me for help. I only helped because I saw the situation the family was in and what it was doing to her. A very beautiful woman, and she was aging fast. So I felt I had no choice other than to get involved in this. This was the first time I successfully used electronics in a sigil. Now, this is important. This is really important. When you create a sigil and to say, produce your will, say you want to damage someone's business, what happens is it's basically you're focusing on this thing, and it's acting almost like a radio transmitter, and it's pushing forces within the electromagnetic spectrum, which, you read my book Sorcery, which impact upon unseen forces, what we call dark matter energy. And there's a shunting effect, and at the other end of that, the electromagnetic spectrum effects happen again, and this is where the result takes place. But you've got to make that initial push, this initial push of the electromagnetic spectrum part, which is essentially an extension of your nervous system, into so strong that it will push the unseen forces of dark energy matter and create the effect you want on the end. So this gave me an opportunity to have a go at something I've been meaning to try. I'll put a diagram down. Well, you'll see it appearing on the screen now. Now, this is basically how it worked and how I devised it. I think I'm not saying I'm the first person to come up with this idea, but I'm definitely someone who can say that I achieved spectacular results with it. Now, I thought long and clearly about how to get this person back and the other people she worked with who were bullying my friend. And I went to the cafe. I hung out there. I looked at the water supply. I thought about putting a sigil on the incoming water pipe, so all the food would, and all the drink and all the tea and coffees would taste horrible. And that was an interesting idea, but I couldn't. It would be kind of obvious. I thought about doing other things. I thought about even giving them a piece of artwork as a donation, because they didn't know that I was so close to this person, their family. And so I was sitting there and I was having a cup of coffee, and they were playing a classical music station that's very popular here in Ireland. That's played all over the country. And I went back and asked my friend, do they play any other radio station except this popular classical station called Lyric FM? And they go, no, she only ever plays Lyric FM because she tries to make out she's classy and cultured. I had her. So I went home, and what I did was I ordered the components off the internet to build an FM transmitter. The FM transmitter I set to the frequency of Lyric FM. What I did then was, when it was going out to the antenna, on the positive feed of the antenna, what I did was, the transmitting part, was I don't know if you've seen them, but they're these markers you can buy that are used in it. You can actually create electronic diagrams that work on paper. And so the sigil was created in the electronic marker. It's like solder. And so that was then hardwired through I soldered that directly. I created it on a piece of MDF. And then I soldered that directly into one of the feeds of the FM transmitter, and then out again from it. So the signal, my sigil was transmitted on the same, my seal was transmitted on the same frequency as Lyric FM that was playing constantly in the cafe. Now the sigil said, I can't go into detail and I can't draw it for you, but it basically said, all this, all the food and all the food and drink in here tastes foul. What I did then was I put it into a small, like those mini envelopes that you get, like sort of like thank you cards in, and then tied it up nicely, put double-sided tape, went back to the cafe and stuck it under with a 9-volt battery, stuck it under, and I did it during a festival week where there would be thousands of people in the town, underneath the table, right? So, and because the transmitter used so few milliamps, I used an actual, I did a solid state. I made a complete analog, old-fashioned type one. That the transmission of my sigil on that frequency, I also created a signal generator. It was a small signal generator using a capacitor to create the pulse. So there was always a transmission. The transmission was what's the word? Inert. It was basically just a pulse of signal until it hit the sigil I had created and put that out through the FM transmission. So it was almost like my will amplified. Within a week, she was sued by somebody who got ill over eating the food. Within a month, the place was closed down. Absolute success. Worked tremendous. What was the key there was that the signal was transmitted on the same radio frequency as the radio station playing. Everyone would be listening to George Gershwin or Mozart or Baroque music coming from this classical music station. It was going into their consciousness. This is what people talk about, like, oh, the elites use stuff to get us. This is how we can get them back. The sigil was transmitted on the exact same frequency that the Lyric FM was on. So it was entering into the minds of people all around the table, on the table, in the restaurant, who were eating the food. And I have no qualms about it. This person was an absolute monster. Everyone hated her. She fired staff like this, left, right, and the other, and then she hired dregs to pick on people like my friend. And she's now basically not doing nothing. And when she tried to sell herself off as the queen of the town when she had the restaurant, and now she's the queen of nothing. And I don't know how, you know, the transmitter went on and on, because a lot of people that goes to these kind of cafes, they're institutionalized, so they'll go there every day. And because I put it in there before a festival, it was a max number of people that was visiting there. And so that was it. So the electronic spell worked. And so you can try this at yourself at home. Again, don't do it unless you've got really good justification. And secondly, you've got to build the circuit yourself. You can buy online, no problem, FM transmitter circuits, plus the PCB board with the circuit with the wiring and already in it, and then you can buy those markers that do the electronic that can carry electronic current on them, and away you go. And it's a way I've taken the sigil, the seal, the talisman into the 20th century, really. And I'm sure other people, like in the early days of electronics, but this is basic. I mean, I got this idea from no one else. I'm sure other people have thought of it. But since then, I've been experimenting with other things. I've also put one on the metal spire in the centre of Dublin, and so of protection and both anyone bothering me, and to deflect them. And so this idea of electronics and magic is coming back into the fold again, and it shouldn't be just in the hand of scientists. Because remember, magic is an art and a science. They both work together, and yeah, that's it. It worked, and magic is just like any other art form. It develops. It has its trends, but it also has its classic ways of doing things, and it's full of improvisation. And so there you go, another one of my secret tips that's now out there with the world, and use it wisely and use it fairly. Thank you.